is now my pleasure to invite Tara Smith, I'm going to mess up your last name, Swibel, the general partner for Terra Regenerative Capital and the co-founder and board chair of Teens for Food Justice. Please give her a round of applause. I'm sorry.
It's okay. It's fine. It's Swibel. Hi, everyone. So if my life was a Broadway musical, we'd be somewhere near the top of the second act. The first act would have just ended with a really exciting turning point where the protagonist, that's me, proclaims through song that I'm forging a new path. And just like Mama Rose, everything's coming up roses. And I belt out one more final glorious note as the curtain closes and the audience is on the edge of their seats. Now, I know this because I've produced over a dozen Broadway shows that have gone on to earn 53 Tony nominations and 16 wins. So this is where the audience says, is this lady in the wrong room? No, I'm not. But to understand how and why I got here, we actually have to go back to the beginning of the musical, to what's called the inciting incident. The opening number has already established me as the main character. We're set in idyllic suburban Denver, Colorado. It's 1991, and we introduce the conflict that's going to propel me on my journey. We transition to a middle school classroom. Students are at their desks. Mrs. Hoffman has us each reading aloud one by one from a textbook. Of course, this is done through song. This is a musical, of course. And then something terrible happens, a shift in the music, downlight on me. It is the first time I've ever heard or seen the words global warming. I'm looking around, I'm completely freaking out, and I don't know why no one else seems to be. I don't know if I was born an environmentalist or because my parents named me Tara, I have to be an environmentalist. But this was the beginning of a lifelong tension with a capitalist system that devalues nature and human beings. I come home to my parents, they try to console me, and they tell me that this isn't something I'm going to have to worry about. It's not happening in my lifetime. We'll have the answers. And I try to believe them. And now we transition, and I'm alone on stage. And this is where I get to sing what's called my I Want song. And you all know this moment because you've all seen The Little Mermaid. And this is where Ariel says, I want to be where the people are. And I'm going to sing about what I want. And what I want more than anything in this world is to solve this problem. The only problem is that I'm 11 years old. It's 1991. Society is not quite there yet. And as you can tell, I'm a theater nerd, not a science nerd. So we go move into this next stage of the musical, which is this B-plot line, where we're going to dive into my love for musical theater and storytelling. And we're going to see my environmentalism come to life through protesting my school to get rid of styrofoam in my school cafeteria. And maybe it's told through vignettes or montage to get me to my mid-20s, where I'm finally experiencing my dreams of having a very successful producing career on Broadway. And I absolutely love it, especially when I'm in the role of lead producer, which is essentially the CEO. I love building businesses, and each show is a new company that I get to run. And while I should be so excited and so happy, I am terrified and depressed because it is getting clear to me that I am going to have to deal with this thing called climate change in my lifetime, and I don't know what I can do about it. I'm beginning to learn that our agricultural system is as bad, if not more destructive to our planet than our energy system. And if we only transition our energy system without transforming our agricultural system, we're still, well, you know what. I first learned about hydroponic farming as a solution to our current destructive industrial agricultural system. I'm fascinated by the idea of hyper-localized food on city rooftops and in buildings using 90% less water. And this leads me to co-founding and serving as the board chair of what is now a national nonprofit called Teens for Food Justice, where we go into Title I schools and we build these gorgeous high-capacity hydroponic farms. And again, I should be happy and proud and loving life, but I am more depressed because I know this is not enough, and I don't know what is, and I don't know what I can do about it. And now I've also brought a child into this world, and I'm thinking, how in the world did I do this? I have known since 6th grade what is coming, and now I literally have zero hope or belief that we're going to solve this problem. And then something miraculous happens. It is that turning point I was describing at the top, where I hear a podcast on regenerative agriculture. I nearly fall out of my seat. I do kind of fall out of my seat, and I'm pacing around my office, and I'm like actually talking aloud, and I'm saying, is he saying that, yes, with energy transition. If we transition our agricultural system to a regenerative one, we can draw down enough carbon and put it back in the soil, and that's going to help us rebalance the climate. And in the process of this carbon cycle, we're going to restore our small water cycles, restore biodiversity, produce more nutrient-dense food, pay our farmers a living wage, rebuild human and planetary health. I'm like, why isn't anyone else freaking out about this? I really thought in order for photosynthesis to be the carbon capture solution that we needed, we had to go plant a gazillion trees out of the goodness of our hearts, which really seemed like a tall order, especially after years on the philanthropic fundraising hamster wheel. But what I didn't understand is that planting trees isn't the only way we as humans manage photosynthesis. The single greatest way we as humans manage photosynthesis is through our agricultural system, and that system is a $5 trillion market. I'm going to sing, everything's coming up roses. I mean, we have a solution, and I'm going to figure out why, if we have a solution right now, why this thing hasn't scaled yet. So that's the end of Act 1. We're at the top of Act 2. I'm paying homage to Stephen Sondheim. I'm putting it together. I'm studying regeneration. I joined the executive producing teams of Kiss the Ground, the films Kiss the Ground and Common Ground, and then I seek out my business partners, Calla Rose Ostrander and Amanda Hendy, to develop a thesis and investment strategy to scale regenerative agricultural practices. And this is why I was invited to speak today, to talk about how farms and restaurants are connected to that. Small and medium-sized regenerative farmers need access to the marketplace. Yes, of course, they need other things. They need technical assistance. They need access to funding, but what they also need are aggregators to source their product and meet the volume requirements of the marketplace. They need processors to turn the raw goods into those processed goods. They need distributors to help them with delivery and logistics. You all know this. We call this the missing middle of the agricultural supply chain, the infrastructure that connects the farm to the restaurant and the restaurant to the farm to the corporation and the corporation to the farm. So that leads me to where I am today, standing in front of you. I am just now launching Terra Regenerative Capital. It's a new fund. We are raising $50 million to invest in leaders building new systems to support nature's systems. We already have a $10 million anchor. We have $2 million already deployed in demonstration capital into 8 businesses that aggregate, process, and distribute regenerative food, fiber, flora, and soil amendments. It's super exciting. I can't wait to see where it goes, and I really hate to leave you guys at the top of Act 2. I just don't know what's coming yet. We are looking for more characters to join us in this inspiring musical. We're casting people to play investors and regenerative business owners and collaborators, and I imagine more twists and turns and challenges. Of course, there's going to be an incredible show-stopping and 11 o'clock number. It's also in the works. Maybe that will come when we've moved billions of dollars into building regenerative agricultural supply chains. But for the first time since 6th grade, I know for sure that this Broadway show has the potential for a happy ending. Thank you so much.